Right. So tell people like who is who's Shay? Who is Finance for the Culture?
hmm So, at my very core, I am a vibrant, patient, and inclusive communication expert who found my way into financial education. And I'm now a licensed financial services professional with over 4 years of experience in the industry. And Finance for the Culture was born to make financial literacy accessible and digestible to everyday Canadians and to help people shift their perspective of money so that they can learn how it works and ultimately transform their quality of life. And my journey started 4 years ago. I was 28, had $200 to my name, and just really was tired of feeling financially unattractive.
Financially unattractive. That hurts my
Financially
heart.
unattractive.
Those words hurts my heart
Yeah,
still.
dependent
I
on my
feel you.
parents and not able to travel, never saved, a lot of money. And I was tired of that. And so I went to seek information, and what I found landed me here. So,
So,
yeah.
what do you mean by seek information? Like, did you just say, hey, like, I'm gonna go do research or what?
Yeah, I was like, I need to find someone to help me understand money. So this is 4 years ago, right? We're still in the thick of social media right now. So you can imagine how it was 4 years ago. That was my internet. That was my Google. So
Yeah.
I went on Instagram and I was like, financial advisor Toronto. But I found somebody who is
Yeah.
now my mentor,
Okay, that's good.
who's also my financial advisor. And I attended a workshop. She taught me everything I know about money to this day. She put together a plan that helped me save $40,000 in 9 months and invest $25,000 by the end of that year, and been rolling ever since, So,
That's good.
yeah, so really, truly, like if you want to change, find someone that's going to help you. And because of social media, you can meet anybody, like you can connect with anybody. These people are at your fingertips, so don't take that for granted.
Yeah, yeah. That's how we link.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like for the people that are skeptical of saying like, hey, why do I need to hire a financial professional when I can like do this on my own? Why do you think that is important to seek professional help instead of saying like, yo, I can manage my own finances?
Yeah, definitely. So, just to clarify, people don't hire me. I'll explain more about that later. But in terms of seeking professional help, a lot of people don't know what they're looking for. Like when it comes to finances, a lot of people, they'll think they need one thing, we'll sit down, and it's a completely different thing that they actually need to focus on.
Give us a realistic example of that.
So there's a lot of people who they want to start investing. They understand that investing is important. You have to grow your money. It has to work for you. But their situation is not, investing is not warranted at that time. They have to do other things first. They have to learn some financial concepts. They have to pay off some debt potentially. There's other things, right? And of course, it's individual. So that would be an example of someone who thinks that they need to start investing all this money, but they need to start with the basics. And so you won't know that if you don't get an outside opinion of someone who's professional, Like you only know what you know. And there's also a lot of deep-rooted things that usually need to be uncovered when it comes to the money mindset that you may not be able to do that by yourself. And the third thing I'll say is that as much as social media is amazing and it helped me find my person on the financial literacy side, there's also a lot of people who are posing as people who know things. And it's very easy to pick up a camera and make videos and share what works for you.
Yeah.
But if there's not enough context and you're not making disclaimers of like, I'm not an expert, but this is what worked for me, people will follow that information, think it's going to work for them, and it might mess them up, So it's really important. And the thing about it is now, for me, it's about a relationship. Like, just like people build with their personal trainer. Like they're helping you, but you build this rapport. It's like you build a team of people who help you in different areas. So you hire a personal trainer to help you with your fitness. You hire a therapist, or you work with a therapist to help you on the mental side, if that's what you want to do. Why is it any different when it comes to finance?
I think, I mean, from my personal experience and from my circle, most people are kind of like ashamed of their finances. Like you mentioned social media, but there's so many expectations in terms of what financial success is, whereby people are not even proud of their achievements, right? It never feels like, yo, I have a car, but hey, let me get like what do you call it, a cyber truck.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the expectations of society and people. It's like we are not proud of our own financial growth, and we don't look into it. We don't find it like as a problem.
Yeah. No, it's true. There's a lot of comparison, especially when it comes to finances. And I mean, I sit down with people every single day, and people are pretending to be better than they are, pretending that their situation is better than it is. And the first step in actually changing your situation is being honest about where you are. Like, you need to acknowledge where you are, and then that's the starting point. But it's so true, people will have so many things or have accomplished so many things, and because they're looking at other people or they're watching other people's pockets, they'll feel like that's not enough. So someone will have a car. Like, I've had friends pick me up in a car and be like, oh, like, don't mind my car, like, I know it's not like that. I'm like, who said anything about the brand? I don't know brands of cars. I barely know. It goes from A to B, Excellente, okay? Like, but they're apologizing for like the state of their car, and I'm here like, that's a nice car, So it's like, we make note of our successes in other spaces. Like with the gym, it's very easy for you to make note of your progress physically, or if you're making more money, whatever. But when it comes to like financial accomplishments, like even just I paid off this credit card, or I saved $1,000, like we have such a hard time celebrating those things. And that definitely needs to change, because those small accomplishments make a big impact.
So just going back to what you said before, you mentioned something about this inner belief or inner money psychology. Can you touch on that?
So money mindset, right? So how we feel about money is directly impacted by how we feel about ourselves. So our relationship with ourselves will seep out in different things. So it will come out in how we eat, in how we treat ourselves, in the people we hang out with, in our daily habits, and in our financial habits as well. And people don't correlate the relationship with themselves to the relationship with money, but there's a huge connection there. And the only way to unravel those things is to understand where those habits came from. So like, we don't just do things. Like, most people don't just do things. It's like you were impacted by someone, or your family habits, or you've seen your parents do things and you've taken that in, and you might not even take it in that you've been imitating somebody. But kids are sponges, and we imitate what we see, and then it comes out later on in life. And finance is a huge thing. What our parents did when we were younger, how they spoke about money, those things tend to come out. And if we don't address those things and highlight like, okay, I do these things, but I don't love them, we'll just continue and continue and continue. So how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about money, those two things are connected, and they will continue to impact the daily financial decisions that we make, for sure.
So now I see why they call you the financial therapist, right? This is her, right?
Yeah.
All right. So what is your definition of financial success?
That's a good question. I would say financial success is being better than you were in the previous year. That's what I would say. I don't think it's a dollar amount. Now, you said financial success, right? So wealth is a different story. There's actually a formula for that. But financial success, it could be anything that you want it to be. So if financial success to you is landing a 6-figure job, driving your dream car, being able to pay your bills every month, that's your definition. For me,
even if it's being in debt. What about you? Like, what is your as an expert? What
my
is your
definition is whatever financial situation I'm in, if it's better than the last, I'm financially successful. If it's better than how I was last year, that's financially successful to me. But again, everyone has a different definition. So I'm saying if your definition is the job, how much money you're making, the car, cool. That's not financial success to me though.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, being able to pay your bills, being able to save, those things are also part of that financial success to me. But also being able to invest in yourself is a way of being financially successful, because it's not just the money, but it's like knowing that you are worthy enough to put some resources towards yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's layered in a sense. But also like financial literacy as well, like understanding how money works is being financially successful, because you can have all the money, but if you don't know how to use it and where to put it, then it's going to be very hard for you to succeed financially, right? So
yeah, that's a great point, because like you can make like $200,000 and then have nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
Right? Or you know, you're broke again.
Yep. Definitely. But when you understand how money works, you can become broke and get out of that 20 times over, because you know what to do, you know how to leverage money, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a good point. Like, I guess we don't really see it that way. We don't really, because some people think, well, hey, I'm never gonna, like, going back to what you said, the internal language of what do we say to ourselves, like when we're down, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have, like, if you don't have what you actually want, if you don't have like the house or the car or whatever, what do you say to yourself in those moments? Like, I know some people that would think that they would never be able to afford things, but they don't see their habits, right? Like for me recently, I started writing down how much I was spending on takeout food, and I spent like 600, like 500 that month, and I'm like, yo, like this is bad.
Yeah.
And like for years I've been just buying, and until that moment I'm like, yo, this can't happen.
Yeah.
And because I'm aware now, I'm like, okay, I'm getting, you know, I'm not gonna spend that much. I'm spending less on takeout. But that little awareness shift, like, okay, like I could take that money and do something else with it.
Yeah.
Right? And it just kept growing into better habits, asking myself, do I really need the sneakers? Do I really need to buy, well, I wanted to buy a new car. And I was like, I thought about it. Before I would have said like, hey, I could get a new car. But now I'm thinking like 4 or 5 years down the line. And it just started with that little tweak. Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah. But again, those small habit changes are going to make the big impact. And the self-awareness is key, which is, it's an activity that I get my clients to do, is to go through their bank statements for the last 3 months and see how much they've spent on those things, takeout, Uber, all of that stuff. And it's very humbling, but it needs to happen, because otherwise you're just living in delusion.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally, people don't even check their bank account. I check almost every day, mostly because there's always something going out or coming in. But I don't want to ever be afraid to check my bank account, whether it's in the negatives or not. It doesn't matter. you need to not be afraid to see the reality. When people start to avoid the reality, that's where the delusion comes in, and that's where it's like you don't know where you are, so you're just doing whatever, but your habits have to reflect the reality. So that small activity, it sucks. Yeah, it sucks when my clients do it. They're like, oh my God,
I felt bad.
Yeah, but you know what?
Yeah,
That's the start. You can always change. And that's the power part. It's like, okay, now I see what's happening. Now I can actually do something different.
Yeah. That's true. And personally, like I did that on my own because I had a financial goal. I was thinking like, how can I cut my expenses?
Yeah.
And it's like, the more you do it, the more you save, the better you become at it. The more you can like move money around. And also like my mindset a few months ago is different than now.
Yeah.
Right? You basically get into the steering wheel and you could basically own anything you want materially, even if it takes you 10 years.
Yeah.
And so the psychology is true.
Definitely. Yeah, and people need to get out of the delulu stage. Like I say that with love, because again, I'm sitting down with these people and they're saying, you know, I want to buy a home in 2 years, and I'm like, okay, but now it's about, okay, let's really break these things down, right? Like we do it with everything else. You go to the gym, okay, I'm gonna go 2 times a week, 3 times a week. I'm gonna do this, this, and that. You want to buy a home? How much is it gonna cost? 700,000. Great. How much do you need to save? 20%. Great. What is that? Cool. Okay. So how much do you have to save per month? With your income, is that realistic? Like people just say things and it's like, okay, I'm here to bring people back down to reality. It's not to say you can't do it. It's how are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Because people just be like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And it's like, okay, it's not SMART goals. It's just, I want to do these things. They haven't thought about the steps that they need to actually take to get there. That is what finance is all about. I said this in a workshop the other day. I said, there needs to be a plan. Like you can't just wing your personal finances for very long. You can do it for a little while. And then eventually you're going to have to be very strategic about your habits and what you're doing to get to the goals that you have or that you want to achieve.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, just being real.
Just being real. Say it with love.
So, like in our culture per se, like a lot of us, we don't really care. People in the past, including myself, about RESPs and retirement savings. Like we don't think that, hey, I'm gonna get older, I should save now. We just think in the present.
Yes.
Like, why is that important?
So why is thinking about the future important?
RES financial retirement savings fund. Yeah. RESPs.
So yeah, the younger you start, the more time you have. Most people want family. Most people want to have things or to do things in the future. You need money to do those things. And so, again, it's just about a planning. And
the generation, for sure. Like for my parents, they didn't really invest in that stuff. So it's like, that's not what we grew up seeing.
Exactly. And
it's like you get older, you take care of your parents kind of shit.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. Like a lot of parents and grandparents are expecting their kids or grandkids to be the retirement plan. And I think that's extremely selfish and just, it's not financially responsible.
Yeah. And it's the generation, because they learned that from their parents as well. So,
but I also want to acknowledge the fact that when you're in survival mode, and of course this is not everybody, but if you're in survival mode, you are thinking about, I need to put food on the table now. So I don't want it to seem like, we're not being empathetic to the situation. But now that we know the information, you need to save for short term, midterm, long term. So what's happening right now? What do you want to happen in the next 3 to 5 years? Okay, when it's time for you to retire and you're not working, the government is barely going to give you any money. So what's your plan to have something other than that, right? That's something that's extremely important. And then on the topic of the RESP, which is the education fund, definitely we need to change that culture of being proactive. Whether your kids go to school or not, wouldn't you want to give them the financial chance to be able to make that decision? It's not to say that student loans are a bad thing. If you need to take it, you need to take it. But setting your child up, giving them some sort of assistance, like if you're able to do it financially, it's like, why would you not?
Yeah.
Right? And it could be as little as you're putting $50 a month, but then it's invested so it's growing. And that impact, those decisions impact the next generation. Like for me, if I have kids, I'm gonna have them set up that way. And then they're gonna be like, oh wow, like this is like, you also educate them to be like, this is what you should do for your kid as well, right? So it's just about putting money in the right places to set your family up. We're always talking about generational wealth. There's a lot of generational poverty, and it's because we're not setting our families up in the right way.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of generational and debts being carried down,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
So that's good. I'm gonna pivot a little bit to the other side.
Okay.
You're an entrepreneur, if I'm
I
correct.
am. Mm-hmm.
When did you shift the perspective of, hey, I'm gonna be my own boss, so to speak?
It wasn't an intentional shift. My last 9 to 5 was 4 years ago. And
Like you look like an office girl, low key.
okay, hey, corporate baddie, it's all good. But yeah, so my last 9 to 5, my manager fired our entire team of 5. And so I was kind of thrust into entrepreneurship. At the time, I was taking an apprenticeship program to get my license as a financial services professional. I had no intentions of doing this as a full-time job or career, rather. I started the program to learn, because even though I had saved the $40,000, I had invested the $25,000. I wasn't an expert at money. I was good at listening. My advisor said this, I did that, and those were the results that I got. So she's like, take this program, learn more about money. You know, we have a whole community. You're gonna be able to like interact with people who are actually making great money, have wealth, and just it'll be a great mentorship program. So I said, cool. 8 months into the program, I get let go, but I have an emergency fund. I have insurance. I have investments. I have savings. So I'm good. But through that experience of learning, I was like, I could do this. Like I could teach people what I did. I could teach people how to save. I could teach people how to manage debt. I could teach people how to invest. And so I dove into experience with entrepreneurship. Was when I was 12. I was making handmade beaded jewelry and selling them. So that was my first experience. And honestly, so long ago, sometimes I forget about it. But after that experience, it was very like, it wasn't like it was an extremely successful business, but it was like I wanted to do something. I was talented at making jewelry. I sold